Okay guys, so I want to talk to you about binge eating and what to do after you've maybe binged or you've had an episode of overeating where you've just eaten a large amount of food and you're perhaps feeling a lot of guilt, maybe a lot of shame as well. This is something I've had plenty of experience with, and I struggled with binge eating for majority of my life from a very young age, and I sort of also experienced bulimia as well, so different sort of forms of binge eating and bulimia and that sort of thing. So I want to also just put out a little disclaimer that I am not certified in eating disorder recovery. However, this is something that I am looking into, which is something that I'm really passionate about. But this, however, is just simply my own experience, things that I've learned and things that I've sort of gone through myself. So I'm only just sharing my own experience in this. But take the inspiration from this video with a pinch of salt, and with the hopes that if I can recover from binge eating or bulimia, then so can you. So what to do after you've had an episode of binge eating or overeating? Well, the first thing I want to just address very quickly, and I will probably do a separate video on this altogether, but the difference between binge eating and overeating or compulsive overeating is very different. I feel like the term binge eating gets thrown around a lot more now, especially in the fitness industry, within the health industry. The difference between overeating and binge eating is very different. If you've ever experienced binge eating, you know there's a huge difference. Binge eating is very compulsive, and it usually makes the individual feel very out of control, meaning even some people have explained it as like an out-of-body experience, and this is something that I definitely experienced as well. It was almost like a wave just came over me, and I was out of control of my own actions. In an episode of binge eating, it's very unconscious, so however much food you eat is very unconscious. You're not actively choosing to do that. It's like I said before, it's like a wave of just out of control feeling just comes over you very quickly. And usually with binge eating, it tends to be done in secrecy, so you don't tend to do it around other people, and you tend to eat very quickly, meaning you want to get the food in as quickly as possible. You don't tend to, savor it. And I know a lot of people tend to think that, if they've had 2 or 3 cookies more than what they intended to, they think, oh God, I feel so bloated, I feel sick, why did I do that? And they might have overeaten, or they might have had an extra slice of cake at Christmas, and they can think that this is binge eating. This is not binge eating. When binge eating happens, it's very impulsive, and it literally feels like somebody has just taken over you, or you've become possessed. That's the only way that I can describe it. I felt like I was possessed at the time when an urge to binge struck, and it didn't matter who or where I was. I just had the urge to go and find as much food as physically possible, and usually if it was in a situation where I couldn't, I felt very agitated, I felt very anxious, irritable, and it wasn't conscious at all. When you are binge eating, like I said, you do it very quickly. You don't savour the taste of anything, and usually more often than not, you're binging on foods that don't even necessarily taste particularly good. You tend to eat whatever's available to you right there and then. I've even known some people, which I didn't actually do, but I've even known some people throw away food after they've eaten it, and then later go back into the trash and actually eat it, like actually get it out the bin and then eat it again. It's not conscious at all. No normal person would choose to do that. I mentioned this in my extreme hunger video, so if you've not watched that, I'll link it down below and you can watch that. When I first experienced extreme hunger and started my dipped into bulimia again, after suffering with anorexia. My first binge was on muesli, which, who in their right mind is binging on muesli? Like, what the hell? And this is the thing, binge eating is all about just getting in as much food as physically possible. Obviously, ideally, that person would want high sugary, high fat foods, but it doesn't necessarily just mean it's about those kinds of foods. I regularly used to binge on things like crackers, boring rich tea biscuits, like really dull, mundane foods that I don't even like. And half the time I did used to eat and binge eat on foods that I didn't really like, just to sort of fulfill that need of binge eating. Whereas obviously somebody who overeats tends to be a lot more conscious and aware. Maybe they're with their friends and they overeat, maybe they're out for a meal and they eat way more than what probably their body wanted, and they're left feeling really full, really stuffed after, and they're thinking, oh god, I ate way too much. Maybe they need to unbutton their trousers a little bit and, you know, just have a bit of a nap after. They're very much aware of what they did and they chose to do that. Maybe the food tastes really good at the time and they actively chose to do that. This is way different to binge eating. Like I said, binge eating is a compulsion and it feels like an out-of-body experience. You basically have no control, or you feel like you have no control over it at the time. Now, if you are struggling with binge eating, I will also link down my other video about how to stop binge eating down below. Please do take a look at that. I do go into a lot more detail about what binge eating actually is in terms of the brain functioning and how to break the habit, basically. So what to do after you've actually binged? What to do after you've actually binged? So let's say, you know, you've literally just eaten a load of food and you're now feeling super, super guilty. You're usually left feeling shame afterwards. I would usually, after I had an episode of binge eating, I would isolate myself quite a bit. So for example, I wouldn't go on my phone, I wouldn't text anybody, I wouldn't want to speak to anybody. I would tend to isolate myself quite a bit. I would do anything I could to avoid going out, especially to go avoid, you know, putting on normal clothes. Normally, more often than not, I would literally just want to go in my pajamas and just lie in bed and just feel really shit. Obviously, when you do binge eat, there is going to be feelings of guilt and shame and disgust sometimes as well. Understand that they are completely normal feelings to have. Anyone who does binge eat tends to have these feelings because, you know, this is a habit that we're wanting to break, and obviously when you've done it you can feel really disappointed in yourself. But please, before you start beating yourself up, just try to accept what has happened. This was a big thing for me. Rather than trying to resist what had happened and try and do something to distract myself from that feeling, sitting with the feeling that what has just happened, learning to sit with the feeling, and I know that's going to feel really uncomfortable, but just practicing to accept what has happened. Understand that that's happened now and it's in the past. There's nothing more we can do about it. We're here in the now. So try to accept it, but also ignore it and just push it to the back of your head. Move on from it. Don't sort of dwell on it and think, oh God, why have I done this again? I'm the worst person in the world. This is one of the biggest things to help you move on and recover from binge eating as well. To not attach your self-worth to what has just happened. Now, I know obviously if you've struggled with this for a very, very long time, you've identified yourself as somebody who binges or binge eats. So you think of yourself as somebody who binge eats. So when that does happen, you think, oh my God, I've done it again. I'm such a failure. Why do I always do this? And all of those thoughts about your self-worth and your value come back into it. And that can really knock your confidence down a hell of a lot. And when your confidence is knocked, it affects the rest of your day, and it affects everything else that you do in life, and it can really, really hold you back, and also hold you back from actually recovering. So the main thing I would say with this, like I said, accept that it has happened, but also a revelation thing that I realised was this is a habit that you have, okay? It's a habit. It does not mean you as a person is a failure. It's like somebody who, if you imagine, say your parent or your best friend or someone who you really care about, you love them to bits, but they smoke. Do you value that person any less just because they smoke, or you think that they're a failure because they smoke? Usually, no is the answer. We may wish that they would stop because it's better for their health, but we don't view them any less just because they smoke. It's simply they are a whole person, but they have a habit of smoking. They're not attached to that habit. That habit doesn't make them a type of person. So I know this is quite a difficult thing to do, but remember that your binge eating does not define you as a person. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't take away any value of you as a person. It's simply a habit that you have adopted, maybe through childhood, maybe through events that have happened. It could have been through restriction, and obviously you've done it repeatedly for so long that it's now become a habit, and it's just something that you do, but it doesn't mean that you are. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean that you are wrong as a person. It's simply a habit. Just think of it as a person who experiences drug addiction or smoking or alcohol. These are all their chosen uses of substance. Yours is food, but that person isn't defined being an alcoholic. Yes, it's a habit that they have, but it doesn't mean that they're faulty. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person because of that. It's simply a habit that they've done repeatedly for so long that now it's a habit of theirs. Without that habit, they are a whole perfect person. They've got personality, they've got interests, they've got a life, they've got goals that they want for themselves. That habit of theirs does not define them as a person. And it's the same with you. You binge eat, and it's something that you don't necessarily love about yourself, but it doesn't mean that that's you as a person and that's you to your core. You are other things other than what you do. Like, for instance, if you're a nurse, that's your job, but that doesn't mean that's everything that you do. There's more to you than your job or what you do as a hobby. So something that I would probably recommend, maybe do it a little while after, maybe when you've sort of calmed down a little bit, is write down in a journal all the things that you like about yourself, or all the things that make you interesting, or all the things that you enjoy doing. So maybe it's your hobbies. What kind of hobbies do you like doing? You as your personality, not you as the person that binges, because that's not your personality. That's a habit. That's it. It's a habit. It's not your personality. You at your core doesn't want to do that. So ask yourself, what hobbies do you like doing? Do you like going hiking? Do you like surfboarding? Do you like surfing? Do you like rollerblading? Do you like gymnastics? Do you like painting? Do you like crosswords? Like, whatever it looks like, write down all the things that you really enjoy. Other things like how you are as a person. So are you funny? Are you really caring? Are you really practical? All of these different things and elements that make you an individual and make you special, because I can guarantee you now there are so many amazing things about you that have nothing to do with you and binge eating. like I said before, binge eating does not define you as a person. It is not your personality. It's simply a habit that you have got, and that is it. It's only a small fragment of your life right now, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be like that forever. So that's some perspective for you to think about after you've binged, and to try and ease off that hatred that we can tend to have after we've done something like binged. Some practical tips after you've binged: don't restrict, don't compensate in any way. So meaning exercise, laxatives, any of those types of things. Your body is an amazing machine, and it will tell you when it needs food again. So even though you're probably thinking, yeah, but I've just eaten thousands and thousands of calories, this is going to be easier said than done, I understand, but your body regulates very, very well, and it does this from a survival standpoint. So your body will let you know when it needs food again. So right now you're probably feeling really, really full, you're probably feeling really, really stuffed. I would probably recommend when the food sort of digested a little bit, maybe go for a walk, a gentle walk, not in the sense of I need to burn off these calories. Your body will regulate it again. So try to not focus so much on how much weight am I going to gain. The more you restrict after this binge, the more it's going to perpetuate this cycle of binge, restrict, because your body doesn't know when it's getting its next meal in. Particularly if you do restrict or purge, it's gonna perpetuate this negative cycle. Your body wants to be healthy, and for whatever reason you are binge eating, whether it is from restriction, you need to just allow your body to come back down to its natural state. And this can be really, really difficult at first, I understand, but the more you can ease off the restriction or the purging behaviours, the more your body will start to regulate again. So you will feel hunger again. And when you feel hungry again, that will be the time when you go to eat something, because your body wants you to eat. So as tempting as it is, try to not restrict and try to just do something that makes you feel good. So for me, I would watch a film, like watch a nice film, like usually a Disney film, to be honest, because it was quite comforting. Put on some comfy clothes, watch a Disney film, take a nap if you need to nap, and if you want to go out for a walk, a gentle walk, and just clear your head, get out in some fresh air, usually that will help. To changing your environment can help you change your mindset a little bit. But I would highly recommend doing those things and journaling as well. So asking yourself questions as to what you think may have caused you to binge eat. So was it a physical issue, like you'd not eaten enough that day? Were you restricting a lot that day and you hadn't eaten enough? If you hadn't, that's more likely than not probably the cause. If you had, what had happened throughout the day? Had things stressed you out a little bit? Or do you think it's a habit that you've created? And obviously if you haven't eaten enough that day, then obviously that's a sign then to make sure that going forward you make sure that you eat enough. These things I want to just emphasize here is that your body will tell you when it needs food again. So don't worry about trying to restrict the next day. Just simply listen to your body, listen to when it needs hunger, listen to when it needs food, because it will send you the signals that it's hungry. Your stomach will rumble. All of that food, it will regulate. So try to not restrict, try to not overthink it, and give yourself some grace. It's a habit you're learning to break free from. Be kind to yourself, don't beat yourself up. Just simply move on from it. Do something that makes you feel good, not something that you need to do or that your eating disorder is telling you to do. Do something that makes you genuinely feel good, whether it be watching a film or cuddling up, having a nap, going for a walk. But make sure you're doing it from a place of love and not hatred for yourself. I hope this video helps anyone that is struggling. I struggled with this for so long, and my struggle could have ended a lot sooner if I'd have not tried to compensate and over-exercise and purge. But that's why I want to help as many people now, because I know how horrible that cycle is. It puts so much stress on your body and your mind mentally. It's exhausting. So if you do want to break free from this, please know that you can. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And I actually have a free downloadable guide available, which I've created especially to help people break free from binge and emotional eating. Also help you to heal your relationship with food. So I will link that down below. Like I said, it's a free guide, so you don't have to pay for anything. It's simply just a guide to help you get started. So I hope this helps, guys. And any comments, any struggles, please let me know in the comments down below. Any other ideas of videos that you want me to film, please let me know. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.